Welcome back, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and I had to run an errand last night after work, and I listen to more talk radio than I do anything. And there was an interesting segment where one of the guests was basically asked, what will the state of higher education be at the end of all of what's going on right now? There's a lot to consider in that, which makes it a really interesting thought exercise. You have traditional higher education establishments, UT, UCLA, NYU, so on. You have trade schools where it may be cosmetology or auto mechanic, it may be welding or any number of other things. And you have mixtures of those where it is set up like a traditional college, but it's not a traditional degree. And you have to wonder about all of these different things and how they're going to evolve as this homeschooling and everything goes in. But then it also asks, what will the state of primary school and secondary school be after parents have had 2 weeks of homeschool? Before we get into this, please remember to subscribe so you're part of the giveaway and help grow the channel. I'm doing the giveaway for 1, 2, and 3 books respectively at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers. That said, let's go on and dive right in. For those who've watched the channel for a while and followed me on Twitter through all of my username changes due to being kicked for not pandering, it's no secret that I went to college to become a teacher, and I taught for a while part-time until I accepted I would never be a full-time secondary social studies teacher because I don't also coach. So I work in IT now. But looking at this question, what will the state of higher education be at the end of all of this? My college experience involved 3 different institutions. Okay, there was a community college, and community college is a wonderful thing. It used to be called junior college, but it is community college now. This is where you take your basic algebra, your basic world history, American history, civics, your basic sociology, your basic psychology, and your basic philosophy. You get all of those first 2 years out of the way at a fraction of the cost. If I had paid UNT's tuition for my first 2 years, I would have paid probably 3 times as much what I did for my community college. And there's nothing wrong with that. These people are still highly qualified educators. And I don't see community college changing much other than the online aspect becoming a bit more prevalent than it was. Now, granted, I went back to community college in 2005. So online college was really just starting to take off for my school. What really was done there is it was a series of recorded lectures. You were given all of the work, all of the assignments at the beginning of the semester, and you were given the final on campus during a certain time at the end of the semester. I took 3 or 4 classes online, and I found out real quick that online college really agrees with me, because I finished all of them in about 2 weeks each. By the time I got to the end of the second one, because I called the registrar, I said, I've already finished this course. Can I go on and just register and take another one? I mean, it'll put me 15 hours. I don't care. There's nothing for me to do in this other till the final. I got to the end of the second one in about 2 weeks. So I emailed both of the profs. I said, I'm done. Can I take the final now? And they couldn't believe it. And I told them, I said, listen, when I self-pace, I blow through stuff. And trust me, I was researching and I was going back and watching things 2 or 3 times. But I watched those lectures 3 months worth in 2 weeks because I wasn't working at the time. Now, the next semester I was working full-time, so I only did my 12 hours, and I was more on a normal schedule to where I didn't do it in as fast, but I was still done in a month. So you're going to see that grow. And you're going to see that shift where college campuses are not this bustling hive of activity. Everyone in the student union building around lunchtime and everyone all over the quad hanging out, playing guitar, playing frisbee, walking to and from class. You're not going to see near as much of that because more and more students will be taking courses online. But this begs the question, how do you deal with trade school? Now, I will be the first to admit, unless you want me to give you just a buzz cut with some clippers, you don't want me cutting your hair. I have, as you can tell, worn this haircut for a while, if you watch my videos, but this is really the only hairstyle I can do other than a true high and tight or bald. The afro died in the 70s because fashion died before the 70s and just didn't lay down. If I let my hair grow, it naturally goes into that 70s look. And my hair, as thick as it is, my skin would die. So I keep my hair short. I learned how to buzz cut, so I wouldn't be paying $12 for a buzz cut. I know, because I grew up in a town with an Ogle School of Hair design or whatever it was, and we would actually get our hair cut there because my father was working long hours. My mother does not want to do clipper cuts, doesn't like them. And while a regular haircut at Supercuts or whatever was about $8, Ogle was $5. So yeah, we're going to save some money. And I got bounced from person to person to person over 3 years of high school because every time I'd show up, which is about every 2.5, 3 weeks, they'd want to give someone else a chance to learn how to do a fade because I couldn't have a defined line in my hair. And I like it as a 1, a 2, and then into a 3. So they would bounce me around. So I was the clipper cut dummy. And it was fine by me because I could spend $8 and leave a good tip as opposed to spending $8 and then I have to leave a tip on top of that. So you're still going to need some of those. Dental school, you have to practice. Auto mechanic, welding, you got to get in and get your hands dirty. But there are others. Okay, think about DeVry. DeVry is computer science. DeVry is coding and web design and programming of other things. You don't need a classroom for that. You need professor-student interaction, but you don't need it to be physical. Algebra, chemistry, biology, history, sociology, psychology, government, economics, all of those classes, music appreciation, all of those things, you don't need a physical classroom. Now, I understand for community college, it is a different setup. You're not doing normal school as you've had for 12 years, 13 years, where you start off, you're in the same room all day long. Right around middle school, you start doing it a bit differently, where you're changing classes. By high school, you're well into, I'm used to changing classes every 50 minutes. And, sometimes I have a class that I only take once a week or twice a week. There are quite a bit of high schools now going to an A-day, B-day schedule, where classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday are about an hour long, and your Tuesday, Thursdays are almost an hour and a half or longer. So they're kind of getting kids ready for that schedule. But college, you're taking 4, maybe 5 subjects. That's it. There are a lot of easy ways to do this. Community college, until my final semester, I didn't step foot on campus for class on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. I did all of my courses on Tuesday, Thursday. This allowed me to work more hours. I knew I had the next days off, and in the case of Thursday, I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. So I could work all weekend long delivering pizzas or working on the line or waiting tables, whatever I was doing, and make good money. I could work Tuesday and Thursday night because I'd have Wednesday and Friday afternoons and morning for my homework. I chose to do it, and that's how it worked. But when I hit my sophomore year, no, my junior year, I had to have classes that were all 5 days, and I hated it because on Monday I had 1 class, Wednesday, Friday I had 2 each, and Tuesday, Thursday I had 2 each, and I had breaks between them. I couldn't get my good schedule due to the scarcity of these classes. If I could have done it online, it would have been amazing. But we also need to look at K-12. School is about more than education in K-12. It is about socialization. My nephew is homeschooled, but we have been very careful to make sure he is socialized. We have joined Upward Basketball. We did other sports programs. We did other programs with other homeschoolers where they go to 4-H or they go on field trips, where he is regularly around people his own age. Not as much as going to public or even private school, but still, it's not just him alone with my mother, my father, and I teaching him. But looking at the curriculum in use today in public school versus our curriculum, I don't think you'll have a problem getting into college. And now we have parents who are going to start seeing it. They're going to start seeing that their children are not being taught all of the concepts. They're being taught enough to pass the test at the end of the year. And this is crippling students. I've made the comment many times that we have people who are so ignorant of the Constitution, they don't understand they're literally calling for the government to subjugate us when they demand something. And when I point it out, and I point out the relevant sections of the Constitution, I'm called ignorant. When I then tell them, no, I'm not. I've studied this. I have a college degree. I have a certification to teach. I have a copy of the Constitution here with me. This is literally what the Constitution says. You're wrong. I get blocked. They've been indoctrinated to believe what I want is what I want, and I'm not, you can't deny it at all, so that they actually believe that the Constitution doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, I understand. The old joke in algebra class or in geometry class, math class. No, put those away. You're not going to walk around with a calculator in your pocket. I do. Every day. 25, 30 years ago, there's no way teachers could have known about that. Okay? For crying out loud. Cell phones at that time were the brick that you mounted in your car or had in a bag, and they weighed as much as a car battery. If you watched Friends, you would know that even laptops were not that common. There was the joke with Chandler getting the laptop and bragging about 256 megabytes of RAM. I don't think I could actually do my job, which is running a very minimal program to route calls and such, and route chats and route emails. I don't think that would run on less than a gig of RAM. I'm running, I think, 8 gigs of RAM on this machine that I don't use for work. I don't know what that one has. So we knew technology would advance. We didn't know how fast it would advance. Think about technology from 1980 to basically 2000. In 1980, you had VCRs that were 2 foot long, 1 foot tall, 6 inches thick, weighed 20 pounds, and they cost you $800 or more. I want to say my grandparents actually paid $1,000 for theirs. You had Pong and Atari. Then you got ColecoVision, and that was cool because you could play games like Pitfall. I missed that one. Honestly, I do. Shouldn't have sold my NES Classic because it had Pitfall. 1989, we get the Nintendo Entertainment System. Then we have Sega Genesis, and we have PlayStation, and we have so many others come out in just rapid succession over the 1990s. But it's still extremely basic. Look at a PS1 game versus a Steam game available for free download today. You look at the first true mobile phones, not the brick. I think I was about 18, maybe 17. We got a new cordless phone for the house that when you got, I believe, a half mile away would turn into a cellular phone. It was something like 50 cents a minute to talk on this thing. Incoming calls free. And then a couple of years later, we got a flip phone. It had a camera in it. I mean, I had a little Nokia brick that you could play Snake and have little MIDI sounds as your ringers because I needed one for work. And then we got a camera phone. And with that, right around, I want to say 03, 04, that first camera phone, when I got that, that's when the exponential growth began. Companies realized that it was so easy to make things miniature. And within a couple of years, you had the iPhone. Not long after that, you had the Android. Now, everyone has a smartphone. My 10-year-old niece has been using an iPad in school, I think since first grade. Might have been second or third, I don't know. I can tell you, if I'd have had this thing in high school, even without internet, well, not all the time, having to go to the library and connect, my grades would have been probably a full letter grade higher. Because I wouldn't have had to wait on someone to give me time on a computer, wouldn't have had to wait to type. I could have done it all on an iPad. I have an old MacBook. Right there. Bought it in, I think, 2006, maybe 2007, when I moved to UNT. Here I am, 13, 14 years later, still using it because I don't need a laptop. I have this. That iPad has probably 10 times the processing power of that beast. I use that to play movies if I have to go somewhere on business, because I have my iPad charging because I use it all day. I can have that in the hotel room, watch a movie on it. That's it. So education has already changed exponentially. I got a little off topic. I do that. What I think we're going to see, and I don't agree with Tucker on this, that it's going to be unrecognizable at the end of this. Okay? Parents can't afford to just stop and have one of them quit the job and homeschool their kids. What I do think we're going to see is more distance learning, okay, more internet. For some of the applications, it will be school districts that don't employ as many teachers for one subject at every location. If we look at where I went to high school, Arlington, Texas, we have Arlington, Bowie, Lamar, and Sam Houston, Martin. I think they have a sixth one now. But we had 4 when I started and 5 by the time I graduated. High schools. They all had 2 or 3 English teachers, 2 or 3 math, 2 or 3 science, 2 or 3 biology, chemistry, 2 or 3 of everything because of student body size. Imagine that high school, Arlington, Martin High School, Arlington, Sam Houston, Lamar, Arlington High, Bowie, where you have class monitors, which can be student teachers or can be people who don't have a certification. They're there to ride herd. And you have a teacher at Martin High School giving their lecture, but at Arlington and Bowie, they're on a TV screen. And the students are submitting their questions from their iPad or their laptop or their Droid tablet. They're emailing them in or they're putting them in a chat. And you have someone, maybe a student aide or, again, a non-college graduate who is not paid as much as the teacher but paid a good salary, there to facilitate questions. I won't be surprised if we see something like that. I had courses like that at Texas Wesleyan. I believe it was one, I think. But it was a course where I knew there were others who were going to be taking it distance learning. Now, I don't remember if it was recorded and then later broadcast to them or what, but imagine it. We teleconference every day. I'm working from home. I still have to have meetings with my supervisor. We still have meetings for our team. We still have these things that go on. So we're now teleconferencing for that. Why not do it for education? Why not have, homeschool, where the student is not taught by their parent full time, but they watch lectures live. Maybe one is from one high school, one's from another, one's maybe from a junior college. Education is going to change. It was already going to change. It's just that this has sped the timeline up a bit because people are starting to see we don't need these massive high schools, 5, 6, 7 in a city. I don't even want to think about how many high schools New York or LA has with the size of those megacities. Imagine if students were on campus Tuesday, Thursday, home watching lectures on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, and they showed up on Friday. Just imagine. The savings alone would be phenomenal. Because instead of hiring one teacher to teach this subject, or 2 or 3, at every location, so instead of 3, you have 1 per location, and they're giving lectures that are beamed to other campuses because they are the teacher for 3 campuses. 1, you could pay those teachers more because they are doing more work, and you're not hiring as many. You wouldn't need coaches to teach any other subject. They could be full-time coaches. Because instead of having to teach history or psychology or sociology or geography or economics or government, the students are in a room with an adult riding herd, because these are teenagers we're talking about, but they don't have the professor there physically or the teacher. They have them on video. They can still ask questions. They can still interact. They can still email or talk to the person. They could have office hours at the other two campuses they're beamed to twice a week. I know for a fact that when I was substitute teaching here where I live now, teachers taught at multiple campuses. I was subbing for a guy one day who had to be at another campus unexpectedly, so I was subbing for him at the middle school while he was teaching at the high school. So it is not impossible to do. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of thought, and a lot of planning. But I somehow think I'll see it in my lifetime where the traditional school changes, and it's nothing like I've seen. I don't think we're going to go full Ready Player One in the next 10 or 20 or even 50 years. I don't think I'll see that. I may see the infancy of the technology, but I don't think we're going to get that far where students log in virtually and they are sitting in a classroom in a computer. I honestly hope we never get to that society because it scares the living hell out of me. But that's a conversation for another day. I've talked long enough about this. Let me know what you think. Where do you see education going at the end of this and then 5 years down the line? As always, be civil. We can disagree and still be adults, still be civil people to each other. Pardon me. As always, please remember to like and share the video so we can expand the conversation and to help grow the channel so that we hit that 500, 1,000, and 1,500 milestone even faster. You'll want to be subscribed so you're part of it. You'll want notifications on to know about all content as it posts. I am back to a somewhat of a normal schedule. Right now it's 10 in the morning, at least 5 days a week, if not 7. But there are days like today where I have 2 videos, and your notifications will let you know when the second one is posted. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay smart, and everyone have a wonderful day.